1943, New Adelphi Building, central London. William Godfrey Delisle and Major Sir Malcolm Campbell stand on the rooftop, looking down at the River Thames below. Pedestrians crowd the embankment as traffic flows steadily along the streets. Campbell raises a strange-looking rifle, bulky, unusually long, and takes aim at the water. He fires. Once, twice. Multiple shots in rapid succession, each bullet slamming into the Thames. Yet not one pedestrian reacts. Instead, traffic continues uninterrupted. This was not a controlled military test range with sandbags and observers. It was among hundreds of unsuspecting civilians going about their day. In that very moment, the Delisle carbine had just demonstrated something that defied every rule of warfare. It could kill at distance in absolute silence while life continued all around it, completely oblivious. By 1942, Allied commandos had come to terms with the grim reality that every suppressed weapon available was fatally compromised. Case in point was the well-known British Welrod. At its core, it was a bolt-action pistol that, to be fair, achieved remarkable sound suppression at a mere 73 decibels. But despite the milestone, this pistol was designed for use up close and personally, as its effectiveness could be felt only to around 30 meters. Accuracy would also start to rapidly degrade beyond 20 yards, an aspect that put the handler at great risk of retaliation in case they missed the first shot. To add to the setbacks, the rubber wipes in its suppressor degraded after only about a dozen shots. The Germans fared even worse. In February 1943, Arado and Schneider companies presented suppressor samples to the Heereswaffenamt officials for the MP40. Testing took place at Kummersdorf in December 1944, but these experimental devices never reached combat units. The reason? Their standard 9mm Parabellum and 7.92 by 57mm Mauser cartridges created a sonic crack that no engineering could suppress. They could muffle the muzzle blast all they wanted, but the bullet itself betrayed every shot the instant it left the barrel. Enter the Americans with their high-standard HDM. Integrally suppressed .22 long rifle pistol that reduced report by more than 20 decibels. OSS Chief Bill Donovan famously demonstrated in the Oval Office by firing it into a sand trap while President Roosevelt dictated a letter, completely oblivious to the gunshots. It was an impressive party trick. But .22 long rifle? For killing enemy soldiers? The engineers at Bell Labs even experimented with gold and tungsten bullets, trying to add weight and stopping power. That is enough to tell you everything you need to know about its inadequacy. 50 feet effective range, and that's in fact a big maybe. And when you hit someone's center mass, you better pray they drop immediately, because a wounded screaming soldier defeated the entire purpose. Every commando, every SOE agent, and every OSS operative heading behind enemy lines carried equipment that could not do the job they needed done. Until one man recognized what everyone else had missed. A year before William Godfrey Delisle and Major Sir Malcolm Campbell stood on the rooftop of the New Adelphi Building, British engineers were already chasing silence with increasingly complex machinery. What they did not know at the time was that the answer was already flowing through their supply depot. The .45 ACP cartridge had been in British hands since the early days of the war, issued with Thompson submachine guns and Colt 1911 pistols. What few appreciated at the time was that this heavy, slow-moving round possessed a rare and crucial trait. Its standard 230 grain bullet traveled below the speed of sound. That meant no sonic crack, no exotic ammunition, and no need to redesign logistics. The silence that they were actively chasing was already embedded in the cartridge itself, waiting for someone to recognize its value. Eventually, it was Delisle who saw what no one else could see. He was not a conventional weapons designer. Born in South Africa in 1905, he developed an early fascination with mechanics and sound suppression long before the war. At just 16, he had started experimenting with crude suppressors fashioned from household materials while hunting rabbits, learning through trial and error how gases behaved when confined and redirected. Over the next 2 decades, Delisle's curiosity matured into a quiet mastery. By the time war came, Delisle was employed at the Ministry of Aircraft Production. The turning point came not from a battlefield requirement, but from rationing. With meat scarce, Delisle built a discreetly suppressed .22 pistol which he intended to use for hunting to supplement his food supply. That improvised tool caught the attention of Sir Malcolm Campbell, a man whose reputation carried enormous weight. You see, Campbell was deeply involved in combined operations under Lord Mountbatten. With Delisle's pistol, Campbell immediately understood what he was hearing, or rather, not hearing. It was then in early 1943 that the true potential of this firearm was seen after he fired into the Thames while traffic and pedestrians passed without reaction. In another test, a shot was fired from a Piccadilly workshop towards a nearby chimney, again unnoticed. After being freed from his previous duties, Delisle now locked in fully into the development of the weapon. Early ammunition trials were ruthless. Standard 9mm parabellum rounds failed instantly, producing a sharp ballistic crack no suppressor could tame. The .45 ACP, however, behaved exactly as physics promised. At roughly 830 feet per second, it delivered decisive energy without betraying its presence. Even better, it required no special procurement. The British already had it. The weapon itself was built on a foundation of absolute reliability. Delisle selected the short magazine Lee Enfield Mark III Action, a bolt system proven across continents and climates. Its manual operation eliminated the mechanical clatter that plagued automatic weapons, allowing the operator total control over sound and timing. The true breakthrough lay in the suppressor. Delisle realized that rather than attaching a device to the muzzle, it would be more effective to integrate it into the weapon's core. As a result, a ported barrel from the Thompson was threaded into the receiver, feeding through an integrated suppressor that dominated the weapon's profile. Modified Colt M1911 magazines were adapted to fit, and a deliberate bolt-action mechanism was chosen so operators could control exactly when the next round was chambered, a crucial advantage for stealth. What emerged was unlike anything else fielded during the war. A rifle so quiet that working the bolt to chamber the next round often made more noise than firing the cartridge. Yet, despite its remarkable performance and recognition by special operation units, production was limited. After an initial prototype series at Ford's Dagenham Works, a contract was placed with Sterling Engineering in 1944 for several hundred carbines. But shifting wartime priorities and the conflicts winding down curtailed output. Only about 130 to 150 examples are known to have been completed before the order was cut back. Despite the limited production, the Delisle did not disappoint in battle. The first recorded use occurred in occupied Europe in late 1943. British commandos and resistance-linked teams began carrying it on coastal raids and targeted operations. Early reports were unsettling in their simplicity. Enemy sentries were eliminated at close and medium range with no alarms raised and no immediate reaction from nearby troops. Joint Jedburgh teams, combining British and American operatives, soon adopted it for similar work. One OSS officer later claimed the carbine allowed actions that would have been unthinkable with conventional arms. During the Malayan emergency, a handful of surviving Delisle carbines were pulled back into service for jungle operations by British forces. Veterans from that period recounted the eerie experience of firing a Delisle in the jungle. There was no loud report, but just the click of the firing pin and the silent delivery of a .45 ACP round deep into insurgent territory. On those patrols, it became a psychological edge that allowed skilled operators to engage without warning and disappear into Malaya's thick rainforest shadows unnoticed. When compared to other suppressed weapons of the era, the Delisle simply achieved what no other weapon could, successfully combining near-total discretion with genuine stopping power and range. No Axis power produced anything comparable. In silence, the British had achieved something their enemies never did, and those who faced it rarely understood what had happened until it was far too late. Remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.